Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Sam, again. Um, I'm actually going to make another video, which is a big accomplishment in my opinion, just because I know I've been really bad about uploading one. I uploaded one last week, but that wasn't really for my YouTube viewers. That was more just for me to introduce myself to the NSA Teens Who Stutter Facebook group. And I got a lot of positive feedback about that, I might add, and I appreciated it, all of it. But I'm actually going to continue one of the video series that I started a long time ago, which is my Ask a Stutterers series. And this is a question that I got from a couple of my fellow stutterers, but the reason why I want to talk about it now is because I was posed this question during my last speech therapy session, and it's kind of a question that I didn't know how to answer immediately. It kind of threw me off hard, and I didn't really think about it. And I'm going to actually pose this to you, my viewers, my fellow stutterers, whether you guys go to speech therapy or not. And that question is, how do you deal with a stretch of time where your fluency is worse than it normally is? And just to start things off, I think us as stutterers as a whole, we put more emphasis when there's bad stretches where our speech isn't as great. I know I hear a lot like, my speech isn't doing that well these past couple of days, and I just think for me personally, we need to put more emphasis on the stretches of time where our speech is really good, because I think that adds to us being more positive, being more confident, which are kind of like secondary treatments to stuttering, I guess you could say, just because I feel like I stutter less when I'm confident and when I'm more positive than if I go into a situation more nervous or more anxious than normal. And I think, or this is a technique that we actually used during my speech therapy, was every week we kept a fluency journal, and it doesn't have to be like in a notebook or anything. I literally kept my fluency journal on pieces of paper, and each day of the week you document one situation where you stutter, and it can be any kind of situation. And here's an example of an entry that I had a lot in my fluency journal, and this is kind of like the outline that I used. Again, it doesn't have to follow my outline at all, but one entry that I had a lot was ordered food at Wendy's or at any other restaurant. Used easy onset and the pull-out strategy approximately 2 times as I ordered my food. I felt great, I used my strategies well, and I had no avoidance during this situation. And I think keeping a fluency journal can be really good, just because it kind of reminds you of how you feel when you adequately use a strategy or when your fluency was really good, and it kind of like helps you to replicate that feeling going into other situations. And on kind of the opposite, the negative side of a fluency journal, it also kind of reminds you when your fluency isn't good or when your strategies don't help you out that much. But again, you can learn from mistakes and from negative experiences for sure, so even at that point it's not even that bad. So that's one thing that I can recommend. But I can honestly say that if you decide to keep a fluency journal, it's only really effective if you keep it updated pretty much every week. When I got home after school, I mean, I haven't really been keeping a fluency journal, just because I feel like I don't need to. But again, this can be different for every stutterer, and if you think like that would be a cool idea, I definitely think you should have one. If you guys have any questions about it, let me know. I can make you guys an outline. I have basically the outline that I use memorized, just because I have to do them a lot of the time. And I wanted to ask my fellow stutterers out there if there were any techniques or special strategies that you do to cope when you have a particularly bad stretch of days where you just can't speak like you normally would. But I think another personal note, I think the worst thing we could do as stutterers is when we notice it. I think the worst thing we can do is to let it get to us to the point where we don't want to talk anymore. I just think it'd be really bad if you were just like, oh, I noticed that my speech isn't good these past couple of days. I should just not talk for the rest of the week and try again next week and see if it's okay again. Because that totally goes against what I've been learning in speech therapy and through the NSA. And then at that point you're just avoiding. So again, this kind of goes off what I said in my last video, but just know, like, just go into every situation with the mentality that you can get through it, because you really can. And chances are, like, it's a situation you've been through before. Going back to my fluency journal example, the reason why I had a lot of entries about ordering food was because at one point in my life that used to be a really hard thing for me to do. My first 2 years of college, and I'm going into like a little story now. My first 2 years of college, whenever me and my friends would go to a restaurant and eat, I would never order what I wanted to because it had a name that was hard for me to say. And one thing I remember in particular was sweet tea. I love tea, any kind. Green tea, sweet tea, iced tea, lemon, raspberry, pomegranate, anything. I just love it with everything I eat. But I could never order sweet tea because I could never say sweet. And it's kind of always been a challenge for me to say things that start with an S sound, like in my name. My name is Sam. So a lot of the time I would hope that when I said I wanted a tea, that the waitress would know that it was a sweet tea. And a lot of the time I would tell the waitress or waiter I would like a tea. They would be like, sweet or unsweet? And in my mind I would just be like, oh man. And I have to admit there were some times where I would just be like, unsweet. And then I would have to sweeten up myself, which I hate, by the way. But that's another story. And yeah, like, that's an example of how stuttering can deprive you of, like, things that you really want in life. And that's a really, like, a little thing, but it made a big difference in my life. And I think that just is a testament to my progression through speech therapy and after I found the NSA. But yeah, I just think if you do notice that your speech isn't doing that well, just don't let it get to you. Recognize it. I think it's okay to recognize it, but you shouldn't dwell on it and you shouldn't be negative about it, because you will get over that slump and you can get through anything that might happen that week. And I think the NSA Facebook group or any other Facebook self-help group or any self-help group at all is a good outlet to discuss with other stutterers, like, hey, my speech isn't doing that good. Do you guys have any suggestions, or do you have any advice? So yeah, guys, this was officially episode, I think it's episode 3. I will know by the time I upload this, of Ask a Stutterer. I hope you found it very informative and somewhat entertaining. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about anything, and I would love to hear your guys' input on how you handle stretches of time like that. So until next time, I'll see you all later.